Yay.
Hey.
All right.
Hi.
Pete got us live.
Look at that. We are live. Welcome to the Solo Cruise Show and our River Cruise special. I don't know where to start. Look, we have three wonderful guests joining us. So excited. I'm going to start top left. We have Jeannine, the River Cruise Queen. Hi, Jeannine.
Hi. Thanks for asking me along.
Absolutely. It's river cruising. We had to, didn't we? We did too. Emma, we have the wonderful EmmaCruises.
Hey, Pete. Hey, everyone.
And we have Melissa from Cruise Shop Save. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, everyone. Good to be here.
And of course, bottom right, we have Allison from Glasgow.
Oh, hi.
And bottom left, we have a very special person today.
Very
We
special.
have Chillie from Virginia.
Where's the plane? Where's the plane? Is the plane in yet? I
And
got to get to Miami to get on the boat.
there is a reason, yeah. There is a reason because we all know that Chillie has been through a lot in the last year or so. It's, you know, if you watch his show, you watch our shows, you know that. But tomorrow, Chillie is back on a cruise ship for the first time in obviously a couple of years.
Yay!
And all of us
Yay.
want to salute you and toast you.
Absolutely.
Chillie.
Oh,
This is
absolutely.
a toast
Cheers, Chillie.
to Chillie,
Cheers,
Yes,
Chillie.
indeed. Thank
who
you.
has
Thank
been
you.
through an incredible amount, but who is back cruising.
And I want you to
tomorrow.
know, I'm going to go up the gangplank, go into the ship office there, and I'm going to take over and be the captain. See, it's this captain right there. And I don't want anybody to think that I'm the lady from Florida that's on these shows that wears the white hat all the time. I'm not
You look
her.
very similar, Chillie.
As much as I look like her, I am not Shelby. So, but I am going to take over for Captain Julio on the Freedom of the Seas tomorrow.
That's wonderful. As I said, we all know what you've been through, Chillie, and you know, with the big sea and everything else, and you know how tough it was for you, and everything, and the fact that you've fought it, you've won, and you're going back doing what you love tomorrow is
Amazing.
just a magical thing and an inspiration to everybody.
Well, thank you, thank you,
Absolutely.
and I am
Right.
excited and looking forward to it.
Unfortunately, we're not talking about that today, Chillie, because we're talking about river cruising. Now, anybody watching, please ask any questions. We have three wonderful guests who have been on the river cruise, who can answer those questions. We have Jeannine, we have Emma, and we have Melissa. I'm going to start. The question I want to start with, I know nothing about river cruising. I really don't. I haven't got a clue. I've never been on a river cruise, especially as a solo. I wouldn't know where to start with a river cruise either. So I want to ask, first of all, start at the top there for Jeannine. River cruising, yeah? How different an experience is that to ocean cruising?
What a huge experience, a hugely different experience. I mean, firstly, predominantly in terms of size, we're not talking about thousands of people. We're talking on the European rivers, 190 people maximum per ship, often less than that. And if you start going to Asia and more far-flung destinations, you can go on tiny ships where there might just be 12 people on board. So obviously we're going to be talking about solo river cruises. So that's really why it's such a fantastic choice for single travelers, because it's a really intimate experience. You're always going to meet other people. The nature of my work means I've been on a lot of river cruises by myself. I've always met people. I'm still in touch with them years on. So it is a really, really great choice. And I'm sure the others will say the same for solo travelers, because you are always going to make friends. That's a really friendly environment. The staff will know your name within a day or a couple of days. They'll know your favorite drinks. You're with like-minded people, and you are going to get probably solo travelers on every river cruise that you go on.
True.
Fantastic. And Emma, I mean, with you, I mean, what would you say in your feeling is the difference that you find between obviously river cruising and ocean cruising? And
Yeah,
I know that you have a really interesting cruise coming up as well, which I'd love to hear about.
I do. So I'd always cruised on the ocean. I thought that was kind of my baseline. And I went to river cruising and I thought that there would be some kind of crossover between the river cruises and the ocean cruises. And I was really surprised to find that most of the people I spoke to had no interest in ocean cruising and they just did river cruises. I agree. You're definitely going to make friends on there. And it makes travel so unbelievably easy because you literally wake up, you're right in the middle of the place. You don't have to worry about these transfers into the city that's however many miles inland. You get up, you get off. Most of them have excursions included or something included. It's just so easy. It makes it so easy to travel. If you do the same thing on land, it'll be very, very difficult. But it's like a little group. They're lovely and everyone looks after each other. So it's very nice. But yes, I've got a bike and barge cruise booked, which I didn't even know was a thing. I received an email from a company who do bike and barge cruises inviting me, and I thought I can cycle, that'll be fine. I had the kind of image in my head of the adverts where someone's cycling along by the river, and it looks lovely. And they sent me the itinerary, and it's like 30 to 50 kilometers of cycling a day every day. So I've started to prepare for that because I haven't cycled for years, so that'll be fun if I can keep up.
I can't wait to see the photos. Really,
Yeah.
wait for me. Melissa,
Yeah.
I mean, I've got to ask you as well. You've cruised on the river, and what difference have you found between river cruising and ocean cruising? And then we've got some questions that are coming. I'll ask the panel on those as well.
Yeah, well, I set up an onshore shopping program for the River Rhine and the River Danube. And so I cruised, and I'm like Emma, I cruised on ocean cruises for years and years and years. And I did think it'd be quite similar, but I was so wrong. It's quite different. But I just couldn't believe how much culture they pack in. It's the culture. So obviously river cruising is Europe, Asia, and it's just, you learn so much. It's all about travel, all about the food, the wine, the history, the cathedrals, the abbeys. It's just absolutely brilliant. It was wonderful. River cruising is really, really different to ocean cruising, but it's fantastic. They do everything. You don't have to plan anything. You don't have to book a tour because everything is included. You just show up and literally, like Emma said, you just show up. It's brilliant.
Wonderful. I've got some, Chillie, I've got a few questions as well, so Chillie, I'm just going to control the comments for a second.
Okay.
And I know Allison and Chillie, you've probably got lots of questions as well to ask as well. So I'm just going to go back through some of the questions that have been asked, just to ask our wonderful panel. Beanie Shark 5, I love that name. Great name. What is the best cruise ships in the world and why? I guess you're talking about river cruise ships on that one. Jeannine, it's a tough one. You might have a favourite, I don't know, but what would your answer be on that?
I mean, really, it depends on, what the question is. Really, I would say if you like a certain type of ocean ship, you can find a river cruise ship to match it. So I'm guessing, you're sort of asking what's the best river cruise ship overall. It's really, really hard to say because different ships for different people. It depends on your budget. It depends on what type of experience you're looking for. I mean, one thing I would say, slightly diversifying with all river ships, none of them are as formal as ocean cruise ships. I think that's a big difference that probably I was going to say before. So there's nothing like black tie nights or anything like that. So you don't have to pack your ball gowns or your tuxedos to go. I mean, you've got at the very high end, you've got luxurious ships like Uniworld. So if you're looking for luxury, that's a brand you should look at. But then again, it depends what you're actually looking for. If you're looking for an active cruise, a company called Avalon do cruises called Active and Discovery Cruises. Emma was talking about going cycling, so they do a lot of cycling tours, kayaking and things like that. So I would say if you're an ocean cruiser, you need to look at a similar ship that's on a par with the types of ocean cruise you go on. If you like a boutique ship, you'll find a boutique river ship. If you like a more mainstream line, then you can go with one of the larger companies where there's slightly more people on board. these are the things you really start to need to look at. And again, if you talk to a travel agent, they'll help you through all of that.
And I'm thinking to myself, as someone who knows nothing about river cruising, wow, there's an amazing amount of choice. There really is.
People don't realise that.
Yeah, and I didn't realise it. Kavan has asked about what river cruise itinerary and line would you suggest for an ocean cruiser? You've kind of half answered that one in some ways. Emma, can you help with that as well? Is there a particular itinerary that you would recommend and maybe a line for someone who has ocean cruise before?
I mean, there's many answers I could give. I think a lot of people start with the Danube cruise. I think that's quite an easy one. You can visit many countries within a week. I think that's a good place to start. But there's so many rivers. There's so much choice. Again, I didn't realize there was so much river cruise choice. I kind of thought, the ships are small. How much difference can there be in 3 decks? But yeah, from the daily schedule to the actual ships, there's so much variety.
And Melissa, Dominic's asked a really good question from our point of view as well. With river cruises for solos, do they still have a solo supplement? Is it possible to get a decent deal as a solo cruiser?
Well, I think Jeannine might be better to answer that than me. I would imagine so, but what do you think, Jeannine?
Yes, definitely. A lot of the time, sometimes, yes, there are still the supplements. However, that's really, really changed. It's noticeably changed over the last 5 years. So, for example, 2 river lines that I would say stand out, Talc and Riviera Travel, the latter which is based in the UK, but obviously they welcome anybody on board. On every ship, they have dedicated solo cabins for single travellers that are, at a reasonable fare without single supplements. And Riviera in particular do every year they have a number of dedicated solo cruises which are fantastic. They're only for single travellers, and you can book any cabin throughout the ship without paying a single supplement. So, for example, if you really want to treat yourself and push the proverbial boat out and go in a suite, you can book a suite and you would pay half the fare of what it would normally cost to travel with 2 people in the cabin. So they're 2 to look out for. And also, most river cruise lines now, if you keep an eye out, again, as we always say, talk to an agent, they do offers throughout the year when there might be no single supplement. So it's well worth looking out for. And yes, so the answer is definitely you can get one without a single supplement.
And I'm going to bring in Chillie in a minute, and Allison as well. I just got a couple more questions. First of all, by the way, please do, Emma's so close to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. How amazing is that? Guess what, Emma?
Incredible.
I can't.
We are really close to 2,000. I feel that little. I'll be like that now. I feel that little.
I'm less than you, Pete. Don't worry about it.
I know. I love it. But Dominic's on about bike and barge sounds brilliant. But what a good question also. Which company is doing cycling barge, and do you bring your own bike?
So the one I'm doing it with, it's an independent company. They just have one ship that they cruise on. It's called Merlin, and you do not bring your own bike. They have all the bikes there. They've taken all my measurements to find me the perfect bike and everything. So yeah, no worries about that.
Amazing. I quite fancy that. Sounds good.
Yeah, I fear being left behind, but they've said it's fine. I can take a day off if I want, or they'll come get me. Like, I'll be okay. But I just think who is the people who book this cycling cruise? People who like to cycle. So I need to become one before then.
So Chillie, Allison, please come in now.
Yeah.
I don't want to be taking over the whole show.
I was going to ask, what are the cabins like on board compared to ocean cruises? Do you still have insides? Obviously, probably not ocean views. Are they all balconies? Are they bigger? What are the cabins like?
Well, I think it depends on the ship, but the one I was on was Viking, and the cabins are compact and they've all got balconies, a small balcony, and it's just so bizarre because when you're on a cruise ship, you look out the window or the balcony and you expect this, big, but some mornings you open up your curtains and you're like there. You're like, oh, Cologne, Germany, you're like, oh, hello. It's like, all like intimate, you're like really, really close. And then some mornings you open up your curtain, there's somebody else on the other side because they stack the boats, don't they? They stack them. And
Okay, import.
oh, hi, sorry, and you shut the curtains again. It's a bit bizarre. There are some things that just do take you by surprise if you've never been, but it's not bad. I quite liked it. Oh, and another time when I was in the cabin, and all of a sudden I looked, and we were going through the locks, and you could literally stand on and you could touch. It's not recommended, you're not supposed to. I was touching the side of the lock. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I'm gonna help.
Yeah.
Put my legs out and start running. It's really different. But yeah, the cabins are quite, I'd say, a little bit compact. What would you say?
And Chillie, you're talking about accessibility on a ship, yeah?
Well, only from the standpoint, most of the river cruise lines that I've talked to in Europe are not the most accessible to handicapped folks for good reasons. You guys have to go under a lot of bridges. They keep the height of the ship down.
Yeah.
They don't have an elevator shaft, which gets it up too high on most of the ships. So as a result, someone has to be able to at least go up a few stairs to go from one deck to the other. And then the way they park ships in Europe, I call it parallel parking, where they stack 3 or 4 ships out from the pier lengthwise. So a handicapped person would have to get on one ship and go around and cross over and it won't work with wheelchairs or scooters. So there's been a definite need in the European river cruises for accessibility. The news we had in the States this week on this side of the pond is American Cruise Line has just ordered 12 ships for U.S. river cruises.
Yeah.
And they're all 100% accessible. They're going to be 4 decks. There's going to be an elevator so you can go from deck 1 to deck 4 and be out on the, out in the sun if you want to. So they'll be all accessible cruising. I think that's going to change cruising in this side of the pond a bunch, starting in 2023 when they take the delivery of the first 2 of these 12.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Emma, what was your favourite cruise, by the way? He's asked.
Ocean or river?
Let's go river. That's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I took a river cruise with Emerald Waterways. Hudson's just jumped on my lap, so
please, let's say hello to Hudson.
Hudson,
we are honoured. The famous Hudson.
I should have thought about wearing Hudson's shirt today. No, I'm going to take a Hudson shirt on my cruises with me.
I haven't got one. I need to get one, don't I?
Yeah. I need to get one. Oh, but yes, I took one with Emerald Waterways, and it was just incredible. They have this swimming pool that's inside that turns into a cinema in the evenings. We did all kinds of things because they're all about their kind of active lifestyle. So we would be, hiking up. I don't know, whatever we were hiking up, we would be doing all kinds of things and exercise and stuff. I don't want to claim it was a mountain because it probably was a hill, but it felt like a mountain. And it was amazing. It was brilliant.
I love live shows. You can't beat it. Well done, Hudson. And a question I have also is I'm thinking about eating. Typical me eating, because obviously when you go on the big ocean liners, you've got all these loads of different restaurants, you've got these speciality restaurants. So Jeannine, I mean, how does it work with eating? Is there a buffet? Do they have speciality restaurants on there, or is it all sort of one dining? How does that work?
Again, I mean, I would say often it's with river, it's elements of it are like ocean, but obviously much smaller. And can I just very, very quickly jump back to the question about cabins, just to say that on river ships they are all outside cabins. You don't get any inside cabins. I think that's quite an important point to make. But anyway, moving on to one of my favourite subjects, food. The food on river ships, again, it's come on in leaps and bounds over the past decade or so. All the ships will have a main restaurant which can seat all the passengers at a single seating. It's generally, post-COVID times, it's open plan seating, so you can move around from table to table, although most people after a few days make friends, and they tend to stick on the same tables, but you are free to move around. And a lot of ships now, they've introduced what we would call free time dining. At one point, the meals were always at pretty set times. Everybody went in together. And some people didn't like that because you might want to eat a little later or earlier. And that has changed a lot. Now, quite a few of them, you can go in more or less whenever you want, obviously within the set dining times. You can have room service. They will always, in the main lounge bar, do a lighter lunch and like an early bird breakfast, so you can go to that. And then what a lot of ships have done, which is really nice, some of them have a lounge area at the back, which they've converted into a speciality restaurant where you can, and it unlike ocean, it doesn't cost you any money. Everybody can go and eat there on the ship at least once per week. And that's a really nice, much more intimate dining experience. So firstly, you won't go hungry. And secondly, there are quite a few venues to eat, and the food is very, very varied and very good.
And do you find that many of the cruise ships give you a chance to go ashore and have some of your meals like in a local pub or a local restaurant, or to get some local flavor as well as what they're doing on the ship?
Yeah, does somebody else want to answer that? I don't want to monopolize it.
I can talk about food, no problem.
Go with it.
Yeah, I'd say yes and no. I think that they provide the local cuisine quite well on board the ships. They bring, the German food, the French, the Swiss. They actually have a taste of that. But you're absolutely free to go ashore on your own time. What I would say, the only reason why I say yes and no is because the one thing about river cruising is they have you busy. You're quite busy. If you want to take part in, because all the tours are included, all the cultural experiences, they have wine tasting events. So free time is of a minimum on at least the cruise line I was with. So if you wanted to forego, like say you'd been to that region before and you've been on that tour, you just didn't fancy the tours that they had on offer, you could just walk off the ship and walk into town, find yourself in a pub, find yourself with a cocktail or a stein of beer in Germany or something like that. So yeah, I would say you kind of yes and no. So yeah, not a lot of free time, I'd say, on river cruising.
Okay.
Again, if I could just quickly jump in, that's another change as well that's happened quite recently is, one of the great things about river cruising is so much is included. But some lines have thought, well, maybe some people do want to be more independent and do their own thing. So there are quite a few lines. I'm just on Amadeus River Cruises, Arosa, Quasi Europe, Viva Cruises that I went on with quite recently. They've introduced a thing where excursions aren't included in the price, which makes the fares pretty affordable. And it's quite a nice idea because then you can buy as many or as little excursions as you want. So it doesn't matter if you don't buy any, or you could buy maybe a couple a week or a package of a few more. And that really allows you to be much more independent. So for people that do that, they will skip the guided walking tours or trips to maybe a castle or a vineyard and do their own thing in town. And because river ships tend to more right in the middle of towns and cities, it's very easy to go off and do your own thing. So like as Chillie said, you can go to a local bar, you can go to a local restaurant, and you haven't got to walk miles to get back to the ship.
Emma, I remember you posting quite a bit when you did the river cruises as well on your website and on your YouTube channel. And did you find that you felt that when you went into a port that you kind of had to get off and go and see the different excursions? Or did you go, do you know something? I'm going to chill. I'm going to chill on board.
So I did one river cruise with Saga and one with Emerald Waterways, and they were very, very different experiences. The one I did with Saga was on the Danube, and we would be sailing a lot of the time. We would leave sometimes before dinner, and you wouldn't have the chance to kind of go out in the evening. The cruise I did with Emerald Waterways, I don't know how much we were sailing for, but it felt like about 2 hours per night. We were barely ever sailing. So you could go out, do your excursion, come back, have dinner, go out for a walk by yourself in the evening. And we did that most days. So I think it depends on the river as well, not just the cruise line, as to what you're kind of going to get up to.
And what about the drinks on board? And I've got to ask, by the way, did you find cookies on there, Emma? Did you get cookies on there?
So quite a lot of them will have, cookies just by the swimming pools or just by the lounges, just in jars open and there all the time, which is a bit dangerous. But yes, plenty of cookies. As far as drinks, most of the river cruise lines include drinks, at least with meals. Some of them don't, but I think most of them do, and some of them will always include drinks, I think.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And entertainment is another question I had in my mind as to, again, when you do the big ships, it's all this incredible entertainment that comes with it. These are much smaller. So is there entertainment on board, or how do you kind of entertain yourself at night? Is it kind of like a pub scenario where you kind of just social and you're chatting to people? How does it work?
Shall I jump in first? Or?
Please do.
Yeah.
And then I've got some photographs I'm going to share, by the way.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I mean, that again, probably a big difference with ocean cruising and people that jump from ocean to river. There aren't going to be troops of dancers and singers on board because obviously the ship is too small. But as Melissa said, and I've written in some of my articles, the star on river cruises is the river itself, the destinations, the places you're going to. Without sea days, the days are very intensive if you go on the excursion. So you are going to be tired. And most people, they're not going to be up for a big theatre performance in the evening. So you won't actually notice the lack of entertainment because you're going to be doing so many other things. Nearly all ships have like a resident entertainer, somebody who plays the piano, some bar tunes, maybe a singer as well. They will have visiting entertainers maybe come on board during the week, like local dance troupes, again, singers. In Austria, you might have people coming on and demonstrating the waltz and you can join in and things like that. But you're not going to have the big all singing, dancing production shows. But I don't think anybody misses them because you're tired. It's just nice in the evening to have a drink, chat to people, listen to a bit of the piano music, and that's sufficient.
They don't have like karaoke and things like that on board. Have you ever seen that on a river cruise?
I haven't.
No, well, there you go. That could be an idea.
We did karaoke.
Before I hit
on
the
our
photographs,
cruise.
Alison and Chillie, do you have anything you want to add before I go?
Do you still get your daily itineraries and your cabins as well? Do they still do all that as well?
Or on the television,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
You get a program, yeah. I think what a lot of river cruise, because it's so small, they surprise people. So you've got your itinerary, but there are, sometimes you'll come back to the ship and there's a local, there's people on the gangway welcoming you that are from there, or there might be like Austria, for example, the music and the culture from Austria. So there might be a quartet or something in the foyer. So there's a lot of surprises, loads of stuff going on. There might be, I know one day, so we were sailing out of Budapest and so obviously Herond Porcelain is from there. So we brought an artist on board. And so she was just outside the dining room, just painting.
Yeah.
So there's things like that showing you the art of the Herond painting and stuff and art. Wow. So I find that there's a lot of surprises that are not written down, which I think is quite nice about the rivers.
I'll go with this question quickly before
photographs. TUI does
have river ships. A budget provider. How different this line from Viking, Emerald and Saga? Good question, Jim.
So I was when you said about the karaoke, I was thinking, I wonder if TUI's got karaoke. A British, because there's a couple of
Well, I have just booked a TUI river cruise, so I will let you know when I know. But
where are you going? Where are you going?
Danube, classic, of course. But
well,
as far as I can tell, I mean, the prices are comparable to ocean cruising, and normally river cruising is way more expensive than ocean. It doesn't include excursions in the same way as other river cruise lines does, but it has we've got some credit to spend on excursions. I think some drinks are included, but I'll let you know in the future.
Wonderful. Okay, I did ask our lovely guest. Sorry, Allison, go on.
No, I was going to say it sounds good. I never thought of TUI actually doing river cruises, so I'll definitely check that out.
Right.
They were supposed to come out a year ago, but everything got
because of what's been happening as well. I've got loads more questions to ask, but I want to go through these photographs very quickly as well. Thank you, Peter. We really appreciate that. And going to start with Jeannine. I do apologise to Emma, who's disappeared. I'm so sorry, Emma, on that one.
Sorry, Emma.
Before I do that, sorry, Chillie. I'm going to do that, yeah? Right.
I was going to say, you can move on. Oh, Chillie's gone. Leave
That's
Chillie.
okay.
Right. I can't believe that. All right, okay. When I think of river cruising, I mean, in my mind, who knows nothing about it, like a complete idiot, I'm thinking Europe.
That's not it.
Now, I guess that you can kind of, Jeannine, you can kind of cruise anywhere. So, people, where do you think that is? Have an idea. Where do you think that is? Any ideas?
No idea at all. Looks like you're in some kind of maze or something. Wow, no
I
idea.
think it might be Germany.
Yeah, I did a similar thing on the Danube somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't remember where, but I'm sure
Well,
one of the
I mean,
pictures.
I just threw this one in for fun because there is quite a sort of, for people that are new to river cruising, quite a stereotypical view, and absolutely fine. As we've said, the Rhine and the Danube are the main rivers. They've got beautiful grand cities along the way. That's what you tend to think of with river cruising. I've shown this picture to some people and they've said, well, have you been in the Amazon? But no, we've got Vietnam. So I mean, it could be, but this is actually on the Danube. This is the lower Danube, which is a river, and is really a river of two completely different halves, because this lower section is so different from when you go through Vienna and Budapest. So it flows beyond Budapest through Serbia, Romania, Bulgaria to where it enters the Black Sea. And this is a fantastic nature reserve in the Danube Delta. And it's just really to illustrate that river cruising is all sorts of different experiences. You know, it can be very relaxing and sedate, or it can be really exciting, like these little small ship safaris into these reed beds, which was an absolute highlight. So I just thought it was a fun picture to illustrate.
I never have guessed. The photographs, I'm going to go through your photographs, Jeannine, and I'm going to go through your photographs.
Let me
Emma.
interrupt you for half of 1 second. I just wanted to point out that Nikki, that just had this comment, is today is in Papeete, Tahiti.
Yep.
And she sent us some comment over there that she's booked on a Rhine cruise in June.
Yay.
Just wanted to point that out because
We
I've
are
been
live
following
in
her.
Tahiti.
Excursions in the South Pacific.
Yeah,
big
I saw
shout
Nikki's
for Nikki
photos
and
from
Roger
Bora
Waller.
Bora yesterday. They were fabulous.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Now, I'm going to go for these photographs, and first of all, we have this, because this is interesting, because I didn't expect to see a pool like that on a river cruise.
Yeah.
Me neither.
Well, and as Emma pointed out earlier, because Emerald Cruises have got lovely pools on theirs, and this is another example. Yes, they're small, but there are pools on river ships, and this is the lovely infinity pool on the French ship from Amadeus Provence.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Another different destination. I mean, those little dots in the background, actually, you can't see them very well. They're actually hippos. This was a river cruise in Africa.
Oh, wow.
Fucking everybody out of the way. Show somebody else's pictures too. Show other people's pictures too.
I'm going to go through yours very quickly. There you go.
Again,
Oh, yeah.
have you been through there, Melissa? So this is the deepest lock in Europe, which is in Portugal on the Douro. So again, you were talking about you can reach out and touch the walls of locks, and this is an amazing experience because it's well over 100 feet and it takes quite a bit of time to go through. Again, just showing the really different types of experiences that you can have.
Wonderful.
Okay, Asia, again, a completely different atmosphere. This was in India on the Brahmaputra River, and this shows every time the ship goes in, this is a typical welcome that you get from the villagers. It's just fantastic. People pile out to see you. They want to have their photographs taken with you. It's lovely because you're as much of an attraction as, they're looking at you as you're looking at them, and you don't feel like a tourist. It's just great. Very, very different experience.
Fantastic.
I'd love to do that.
And again, here, this was the same trip. This was the opening day of a national park, and we just happened to be there. And we were sort of hauled in, like we were welcomed, and we were interviewed by TV and press, and these soldiers wanted their photo with us. And again, just really memorable experiences.
And river cruises can be active.
Yeah, that's what we said earlier. This is the Avalon Active, so they include kayaking in their excursions if you want to go. And there's the ship in the background. But this was a Russian river cruise with a Russian doll painting class, and this little lad, his one was much better than mine. India again. This was a school visit. This was on the this was the Brahmaputra again.
And
okay, Chillie. This is in your neck of the woods. This is on the Mississippi, where their activities included a banjo playing lesson.
Wow.
And this is Vietnam. So this is nice because a lot of the river lines will utilize local transport. So they hire tuk-tuks or motorized ones like this one to take you around on excursions, which is just a really, really fun experience.
Or a helicopter, maybe.
oh dear, yes. This was on the Africa trip where I did a helicopter ride over the Victoria, the falls, and they weighed you before you got on the helicopter.
They weighed
and of course,
you.
this was the end of the week, and it was a bit larger than I put down in my original form.
So if you're going to do that excursion, make sure you do it at the beginning of the cruise, and not at the end of the cruise, because you might
see. I don't have to worry about that one. They won't ever let me on a helicopter. I say he's too damn fat.
Before we
They
hit
do that
photos,
if you're taking the seaplane on Loch Lomond. You get weighed before you go on that as well.
I know. Well, the good thing is
Jeannine,
nobody else can see it. They write it down very discreetly. But
can you explain this, please, Jeannine?
oh dear. Oh.
Now,
I look like a pair of Chillie knickers.
Dear. Well, there is obviously there's a story behind this, but there is a sort of serious one to it as well. This is a company called APT who do lovely river cruises, and they're based in Australia. So there are a lot of Aussies on their trips, obviously joined by other people too. The nature, sadly, with travel and when you're traveling long distances is that luggage can go missing if you're taking multiple flights. Now, I'd never seen this before, and my luggage actually went missing, even though I was coming over from the UK. I had a change of flight in Germany, and he said, we can give you an emergency pack. And I had never, ever heard of this on a river cruise. So, it is a fantastic idea. They give you a T-shirt. They give you a pair of knickers. But, of course, it's one size fits all. So that was them. So in the end, I turned them in. And also, they gave
the knickers on your head?
Well, they also, in the pack, they give you toiletries. They gave you a pair of tights or pantyhose. So I just made myself, because I wasn't going to, I made myself a little
out
hat.
of knickers and pantyhose. Sweet.
See, if you're going to learn anything from the show today, you've learned how to use those knickers, haven't you?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I haven't finished packing yet. I got to go make some changes.
Yeah, there we go. I absolutely love it. I'm not sure we've got a few more questions, by the way. I'm just going to go for Emma as well. I've got some photographs you've shown me, Emma.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So this was on my Emerald Waterways cruise, and that's our balcony of sorts. This one was one where it kind of dropped down, and you'd stick your head out and have a look where you were, which was pretty cool.
I guess with that, I made the mistake on my first ever cruise. I had a balcony. I didn't think about. I was basically in the nod in bed, and I used to leave the curtains open so I could actually see the sea and hear the sea. I didn't think about when I went into port that suddenly I woke up in the morning and all these people looking down at me, completely naked in bed. I'm thinking, how am I going to get out of bed?
Yeah.
That could easily happen, couldn't it?
Yes. No, it happens all the time. So that is the top deck. Not sure where we were, but that is the Emerald ship with the giant noughts and crosses and all the chairs and everything. And they just walk around with these trays of drinks and just hand them out in the sunshine.
Is that real grass or fake grass?
It's fake grass, I think. Yeah. Too much work, I think, to have real grass up there.
So much space.
Oh, and this is the swimming pool. This is the swimming pool that turns into cinema at night. So they cover it over and the screen comes down and you wouldn't know that it was a swimming pool. It's really cool. This is my Saga river cruise I took, the 50 plus river cruise line I took when I was 25. 5, I think, with my mum. So that was fun. I stood out like a sore thumb, but it was very good.
Wow, to be
And yes, there's us going through one of the locks on the top deck.
Nice.
Very cool to see. And again, yeah, this is like the earlier picture, the Danube Delta.
Oh, there you go.
We parked in some reeds. I took that picture.
And in a few minutes, we're going to be talking about the Danube because Alison's going to do her port info. And
we're going to be talking about Budapest. We're going to be talking about Budapest, which is good because it just seems that there's quite a lot of river cruises on the Danube. Obviously, start at Budapest. Yep.
Fantastic. So, have you got any questions to go through first of all, Chillie, that we've missed out on before we hit Alison's
I'm
tip?
giggling because Martin did the same thing, naked on a.
Martin did exactly the same. It's so easy, isn't it? I had no idea. And when you see that openness,
Well, guys, don't sleep naked. You never know what's going to happen.
Wonderful.
We have another
if you've got any more questions, please ask as well. And I will ask for the very top tips for anyone who's, just to let you know, anyone who hasn't cruised solo before or cruised on a river cruise, please let us know what your top tips are. I'm just going to put you back to where you should be, hopefully, Emma. Mind you, I might have to put you back in a minute, actually. So I'll put you back because we're going to put some more photographs. So, Allison, you're talking about the ports, yeah?
Yeah. So I thought river cruising, we would talk about Budapest, which seems quite good. Yeah. So Budapest, obviously capital of Hungary, bisected by the Danube, and you've got the hilly Buda on the west side and the flatter Pest on the east side. That you flashed up, Pete, as a lot of cities do, certainly on European cities as well, they do tourist cards, their own version of tourist cards, and Budapest is no different, that they offer a Budapest card, so you can buy it from 24 hours up to 120 hours. Offers various things, free excursions, free into the attractions, public transport, etc., discounts. But like with all these cards, great if you're going to be looking to use it and go to all the attractions, but do check it out before you go. And if you're going to be staying for a few days, it might be worthwhile buying the Budapest card. So that is probably the one of the most famous bridges in Budapest, the Chain Bridge. That was the original bridge that crosses the Danube, joining up the Buda and Pest. 2 interesting facts about the Chain Bridge. Does anyone know? It was designed by an Englishman, but more importantly, built by a Scotsman.
Oh,
probably why it's still standing.
Okay.
So there you go.
And it's still there, yeah?
And it's still there, absolutely. Yeah, so that's the Chain Bridge. Lots of markets in Budapest. I think this is the biggest one, the Central Market Hall. Got everything from, if you're self-catering or whatever, you've got lots of food there, lots of souvenirs, etc. Beautiful building. It's an indoor market. But yeah, Budapest seems to have many markets if you want to do some shopping or scouting, and they have good.
I'm sure Melissa knows a lot about that.
Yeah, like Athens, Budapest has got a funicular railway, probably a bit more scenic than the Athens one. The Athens one goes inside a hill, but this goes up to, it's on the Buda side, goes up to Buda Castle. It joins the Chain Bridge up to Buda Castle, and apparently the views, I don't know if anyone's ever been on that one, but apparently the views are fantastic. And that is Buda Castle. Yeah, so you can get to it by the funicular. I think it was built in the 12th century, so it's been standing quite some time, and you can do tours of the castle, guided tours of that. Budapest, full of thermal baths and spas. This is the biggest one. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it, but this is the biggest one on the Pest side of Budapest. Not too expensive to get into, I don't think. So I think I looked at prices around about £15, maybe a lot bit more for day passes.
I've been there. I've been in those baths.
Have you been? Wow,
nice.
Why haven't we got some photos, Pete?
No, we haven't, because it was freezing cold.
Were you naked there too?
Oh.
In December. I was there New Year's Eve, by the way. If you're in Budapest, New Year's Eve, the fireworks, be careful, you're ducking and diving. The fireworks.
Did you go to the outdoor pools, Pete, instead of the inside ones?
I went to the indoor and the outdoor. Yeah. and you're literally running from one, but when you're in them, it's just wonderful. It really is.
Yeah.
But one of my memories of Budapest is the fireworks. Because they did the fireworks on New Year's Eve, and they don't go up, they go that way. So I was ducking and diving. Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Hey.
it looks fabulous. It's huge. So 15 indoor pools apparently and 3 outdoor. So that's the Budapest wheel. Lots of cities now have them. So if you're okay with heights, yeah, go onto the Budapest wheel. I think it's about €10 or so, and is accessible, Chillie. So yeah, you could go into that for some fantastic views of the Danube in Budapest. And that is the Parliament, obviously seen from the riverside. You can do tours of the Parliament. It looks a fabulous building. That would be great to look around. And the photos I've seen from inside, it looks absolutely stunning. So yeah, check that out if you're in Budapest.
And one of the things that I've learned, especially from Allison, is that you really can visit these amazing parts of Europe.
Absolutely.
That you know, with a river cruise. What a wonderful
and you can
way
make your own
doing it.
little 2-3 day holiday before you get on your cruise or after your cruise, you know. And for me, that's what I like doing before going cruising. Instead of going straight to the ship, I like to spend 2-3 days and soak up the culture of the place that we're leaving from.
I'm going to ask for a few top tips. Martin's given a top tip. If your itinerary includes Vienna, book the Viennese concert. If it's not included, then it's amazing. And he's not a classical music man, but he loved it. I actually went to the opera. Could you believe? I'm not an opera person or a ballet person, but I went to the opera just to experience it in Hungary. It's just incredible. It really was. Wow. If you've got any questions, come in now, because I'm just going to ask Jeannine, if you are thinking of booking a river cruise for the first time, what would your, and I'm going to ask everybody, by the way, what would your tips be for that?
Well, tips, that's good. Well, firstly, definitely go for it. You know, if you are slightly apprehensive about going on your first one by yourself, then, as I mentioned earlier, book one of the dedicated solo river cruises where everybody on board is going to be with you. They're going to be a single traveller. Am I allowed to do another one? Or
yeah, please do. Yeah, top tips.
And then, I mean, this probably applies a lot generally, but again, if you're going by yourself, you've got to lug all your luggage around. Don't be tempted, and it is tempting, but don't take too much, because you really don't need it on a river cruise. You don't need lots of fancy evening wear. You just need comfortable shoes. That's the main thing to take, comfortable clothes. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that all like ocean ships, river ships, although they're small, they do have laundries, so you can have your laundry done, which saves you taking too much.
Wonderful, thank you. Emma, what would your top tips be for if you're thinking of booking a river cruise, especially solo and you haven't done it before?
Okay, so I think the thing that surprised me most about my first river cruise was the fact that my day just kind of shifted about 3 hours earlier than I would normally have a day on a cruise. I admit I often miss breakfast on ocean cruises. I'm not a morning person, but I would be up for breakfast because I wanted to go on the excursions, and then you would just be going to bed earlier than I would normally stay up on an ocean cruise. But it's worth doing that. Don't miss things because you're asleep. Just move your day, and it just tends to be like that. So be ready for it. You don't have to be really busy. If you don't want to, you can chill out. You can be as busy as you like. Definitely bring comfortable shoes, a Fitbit or something to track your steps, because you're going to walk a long way if you want to. I always do.
Melissa.
Yeah, well, I actually think it's a perfect holiday for solos because it's so intimate. So, you know, it's great to go solo on a cruise ship with thousands of people, but you imagine you're on a ship with, like Jeannine said, 190 people max. You really make friends pretty quickly. But then if you want your own time, then you can go off on your own. But you've got friends every morning. Like Emma says, you can shift your day, but you do have to be up at most of the tours. They're all day long days. Like if you are on the Rhine and they're taking a trip up to Paris, you have to be on that early train. You get up really early, and everyone is eating breakfast, standing in the foyer, and everyone then goes together onto the bus, and you're just pals, you're just mates right from the first cruise. So I just think it's an absolutely perfect thing to do for solo travelers and couples. It's great. It's really intimate. And like Jeannine said, in the evenings, you know, it's a little bit strange. The first night, you go in and you're like, oh, I don't know where to sit, because you're expecting to be allocated seats, and you can sit anywhere, and then you get chatting. and then you just form these tables, and it's magical tables. And actually, towards the end of the cruise, and I'm talking a lot, but at the end of the cruise, like hiya, like this, all the way through the dining room. When you're walking through, it's like they're all your family. It's just absolutely brilliant. Perfect thing to do.
Chillie, have you got anything to add, Chillie?
Well, no, I'm looking forward to the expansion in the States and accessibility on river cruises, because that's one of the things that's kept me from getting on a river cruise. So
yeah,
I hope that whole world is going to open to those of us that have our mobility challenge.
That's really exciting. Allison, have you got anything to add?
To that? Sorry, to let you know, when I was on Viking, they did have an elevator for disabled, for the wheelchairs, and I noticed, and I know it is accessible. It's not easy, but it is accessible. So they had, because there's all the levels, the gangways on all the levels. So if the gangway was going up for all the guests, there would be a special gangway that went across, and all the staff came out. And there were people that were cruising that were in wheelchairs. So I think they are getting better with the accessibility.
Good.
So
Good.
yeah.
So Allison, do you have anything to add?
No, I've just learned so much. So thanks to all three of you for that. It's been fantastic. I'm definitely going to check out some of these river cruise lines, and think about it for the near future.
Well, I just want to say a massive thank you, first of all, to everybody watching. We really appreciate that you are watching, But we're so honoured to have such a wonderful panel who can give us such fantastic advice from their experience on the river cruise. So, Jeannine, thank you so much for coming in the show. We really appreciate it. Emma as well, as always, thank you so much. I can't wait till you celebrate getting to 100,000 subscribers. That's an unbelievable achievement.
I think
thank you so much, Melissa, for your wonderful advice, especially the interesting thing with all the shopping that you can do and all those wonderful places that you can do as well. Allison, of course, great. Thank you for Budapest. That was really, really good.
No problem.
But what I would want to say is, I think we want to end the program with a toast to the wonderful Chillie, who I think in about 5 or 6 hours time is going to the airport for his first cruise. So we really appreciate you being here. So everybody, let's please toast Chillie, who's back cruising again, and he's going to be on sticks probably for the rest of the year. Thank you everybody for watching. Really appreciate it. Bye everyone.
Bye.